Messi Co, Breaking Major League en la ciudad del sol. Here in Miami, we know who's el campeón. Leo my team, yeah. Suárez on the field, always wearing they team. Con Busquets ya es un win, the trio of everything, muchachos. Las familias se escuchan los barrios. Esta camiseta pinky la llevan todos los guachos. Los rookies quedan sin comentarios. Messi ambetea, tiki-taki gol. El estadio Chase bañado en gloria y sudor. Aquí se ama y se respeta el balón. Florida es tu casa, acostúmbrate al calor. Estate listo pa' Messi Co. Estate listo pa' Messi Co.
What is up, La Familia? What is up, Inter Miami fans? What is up, Messi Co. listeners, audience? Welcome to another show of the Messi Co. show with Ash, myself on the 5 Reasons Sports channel, on the 5 Reasons Football channel. Before we get started, please like this video. Make sure you follow us. That way you guys get all the notifications. The more likes, the more thumbs up we get on this video, the more people get to enjoy it and watch it. So, yeah, we're back, Ash. It's been a while. How are you? How are you feeling? How's everything going? How are you feeling about Inter Miami?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody. I'm super happy to be back. Obviously we had to take a little break for some health and some other things, but we're back and we've been watching Inter Miami, and obviously they've been putting out some pretty good performances. We've seen a lot of messy magic, and so yeah, I'm excited to talk about it and to see how this season unfolds.
Awesome. And I'm glad to be back. It's been a few days, actually been about 10, 11 days. So quite a few things have happened. It's crazy. Just like with the congested schedule that we have, it just feels like you don't pod for like 2-3 days or 4 days. You miss like a whole like string of games. Yeah. It's insane. And obviously with Inter Miami, there's always news. Like at every moment, every turn, there's always news. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I wanted us to kind of first start talking about Inter Miami and how they've been doing so far in this like last stretch of the game. So I want to set the stage for it so we can kind of talk about that. So last time that we were on, we were coming off that 3-1 win over Seattle, in which Messi had scored in that game. And it was right after they had lost 3-0 to Charlotte. And I remember tweeting after that game, that 3-0 loss to Charlotte, that game for me was going to be, and I'm sorry if I go a little long-winded here because I just want to set the stage and then we're going to get right into it.
No, please.
But after that 3-0 loss, I remember tweeting and saying, this is going to be, I feel like this is going to be one of those games where they're either going to go in to the locker room and like absolutely bitch at each other, and they're going to be better for it and they're going to figure things out and then go on into a really good stretch, or it's the downfall of this team. Because we had seen things leading up to that 3-0 loss against Charlotte where you had Messi walking off the field and you had the players that were like really good, at each other and that sort of thing. So it wasn't looking good. So after that 3-0 Charlotte loss, something happened where, again, they come back, they beat Seattle. We did a pod on that one. Then after that, they go on to beat DC United at home, 3-2, Messi brace. And that's where this, Messi kind of insane run just starts and continues throughout this stretch. Tadeo Allende goal. Ash, we finally get a Tadeo Allende goal. So that's great. And then after that, it's like, okay, they string these 2 wins, these 2 impressive wins. Then they go on to New York City and they win 4-0 at Citi Field. So away from home against a top team in the East, 4-0, embarrass them. A Messi brace. Suarez comes back, he scores. And really, I feel like up to that point, Ash, Inter Miami was looking like they were firing on all cylinders. They were playing very great form, 3-game win streak. They're in control of the Supporters' Shield standings at that point, or their Supporters' Shield future, because they have the games in hand and they're winning these games. And then this weekend, Saturday, they go into BMO Field. They drop 2 points, 1-1 draw against Toronto, a bottom 4 team in the East. And you can kind of look at that.
Playing against prime Gigi Buffon, though.
Exactly. And it's crazy. Any goalkeeper that plays against us looks like Gigi Buffon or Oliver Kahn. It's just, it's insane. So you can look at that game a few different ways. We drop 2 points, or, anytime you go away from home and you leave with a point, it's also a good result. But given the circumstances, they lost their they don't have it in their hands anymore for them to be able to reach the supporters shields. Now they depend on other people. But look, 4 games where they haven't lost a game, they have 3 wins, one tie. I feel like you could still say they're kind of rolling and doing very well. How do you feel about this stretch of the last 4 games and how they've responded to that 3-0 loss and then just put on this absolute show over the last 4 games?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's really good context. I think uh they've totally turned around in what I've seen and yeah, I know that they had that result over the weekend, which may have kind of came across as a disappointment. But if you're looking at the overall form over the last week plus, it was, absolutely incredible, and you're seeing a team that is playing at an incredibly high level in all phases of the game. I think having Noah Allen back in the lineup, for example, like, the defense has looked better. I know there's obviously been a few things, and you can point to it, but, I've really liked what I saw. Messi is obviously playing at this insane level. Silvetti, I mean, I know it hasn't necessarily come across like obviously he missed the penalty against DC, etcetera, but the confidence he plays with and the spark he plays with, even though he wasn't in I mean, he was missed in the Toronto game, which is crazy to say when he's only been here for a couple weeks, but, no, we're seeing all phases play well, having Suarez back and being that playmaker again, and Messi is now I mean, he's doing everything in his power to not win the Golden Boot. He's just giving people opportunities to score when it should be him scoring. But no, I think that Mascherano has been making really good adjustments for each team and it's happening at the right time because to your point, whether it's supporter shield, whether it's first or second, let's just say, whatever, I care about making it far in the playoffs and having a chance of winning the MLS Cup and the way this team is playing as a complete team, even to your point, the Allende scoring, we know what's happening with Busquets, which I'm sure we'll get into. This is what you want to see. This is how you like want to watch the games and watch your team. And so I've been really happy with how each game has gone. I feel like each game we're building something and we're seeing consistent progressive play, which is what we want.
Yeah, there are 4 games left in the season for them for Inter Miami since they have a couple in hand. It's the final stretch. This is what you want to see. There are teams that sometimes peak too early. There are teams that peak in the middle and then just kind of fizzle out towards the end. And this Inter Miami team, despite having some lows, have had highs and lows going throughout the season. And they're hitting the highest of highs in this last stretch going into the playoffs. And that's what you want to see. You want to see a team that looks really good, that looks cohesive, that's scoring. You want to see your best player, Messi, have these type of games going into the playoffs. And this is the perfect timing. And like you said, Ash, like, okay, you may want to have that supporter shield as an accomplishment. You won the most games, but at the end of the day, what's the most important thing? It's to make it to the playoffs, number one, which this Inter Miami did. They've officially clinched their spot into the playoffs, but also go in it and be a high seeded team so that you can secure as much home field advantage as possible. And you mentioned it, you have players that are doing so well and are doing good, like Silvetti. You said it. Like, I think that's been a really good thing to see when you're missing a lot of sometimes maybe some attacking power and attacking versatility on the wings and another guy that can run into space and is not shy. You and me were texting and you were saying you were like laughing and being happy about like, okay, Silvetti's shooting outside the box like he's been on this team for years. Like he's not afraid.
And he's playing not like a how old is he? 19, 18, 17, whatever he is. He's playing like he's like prime, I'll use him as an example, prime Ronaldo for Real Madrid, like zero fear. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
But I like it, and when this team has been lacking, to your point, we've been saying that it's been a lack of offensive firepower and excitement. We're seeing it, and also, like I said, because you're having the Noah Allens and even De Paul and Busquets playing a little back. Jordi Alba now is being a much more forward minded player than he really had been for Inter Miami, and the team needs it. Like they needed to get more offensive spark and firepower, and it's working him being able to go up more is creating more options and chances for the team overall. And so, yeah, exactly to what you said. I'm really enjoying the form they're in right now, and whether it's first or second or third, we had first last year, but you never felt necessarily confident in what you were going to see. Now I feel like we're seeing consistency, we're seeing a game plan, we're seeing players who want to win and who want to get the team to be performing at its peak, and that's way more important to me and has me much more excited for the postseason.
Even Baltazar scored. That's another option. We have different
Baltazar
guys that
Rodriguez has been great, yeah.
he's been doing great. You said it, Alba as well. He's playing even higher up than ever at this point. You've got Ian Frey getting more bright. He didn't play last game as a starter, but he's been getting a lot more minutes. That's something you said for a while, Ash, that you wanted to see Yannick Bright really. You saw obviously the need for him. We all appreciated what he brings to this team, and you wanted him to get more minutes, and he's getting them. So just a well-rounded performance, I think, over the last 4 games. But as we talk about performances from this team, there's 2 guys I kind of wanted to focus on, and that's going to be De Paul and then Tadeo Allende. So we'll start with what's more. The Paul is a bigger one, so maybe we should talk about Tadeo first, and then go with
Yeah.
De Paul. So Tadeo Allende. Tadeo Allende is someone who we've criticized a lot. I think, and deservedly so. I think we've been fair in our criticisms. When he first came to this team, he was lighting it up with some nice goals, and it would look very promising. Then he kind of fizzled out. And the issue, I think, more so wasn't the fact that he was not getting into the right spaces or making the right runs. He was doing that. He's one of the few on this team that can make that run into space. We know that Suarez doesn't do that anymore. Messi now is connecting with Busquets, which has been amazing, those passes from the space. But Tadeo Allende gets into the right spots. He makes the runs. And then he ends up with a one-on-one against the keeper, but he can't finish. And that's been an issue. And now he scored twice in the last 3 games against Toronto and against DC United. I mean, obviously, Mach is going to play him. He's going to play him regardless. That's a good sign, Ash. He's scoring 2 goals in the last 3 games. Like whatever we've said about him, I hope it continues.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I also will say he did miss, in my opinion, a wide open chance in the Toronto game in the second half. But you get what you get, and you do what you can. But so yeah, I think so. I don't know though with Silvetti back, like with Silvetti and with Rodriguez's options. I'm not so sure that Allende is gonna start, but I'm good with him coming into the game, and being impactful, or at least rotating and having options because you're right. It's is if he can get these chances and the team can create these chances, it's good. So scoring twice in the last 3 matches is definitely a good sign. That's what we want to see moving into this final stretch, to your point. And what we said earlier, it's some when you peak is what's most important. And right now it feels like the team is working toward its peak, and after the disappointment of the Leagues Cup and etc. There's a lot of different ways things can go, and what we've seen the last 4 matches has been really positive.
Yeah, yeah. I think that Tadeo Allende has had a tough stretch, but it looks like he may be coming out of it. And I hope, because he gets a lot of chances, and if he can finish one or at least one of the maybe 2 or 3 chances that he's getting every game, then you're talking about a different result for Inter Miami. There are games that they would probably win that maybe they tied or lost, and other games that wouldn't have been as tough heading into the final few minutes of the game, where sometimes there's a fear that we might still lose it or tie it. So the next one, and this one to me is I think a lot of people are going to have different opinions on this one. Some also maybe depending on where they're from, because we know that De Paul is a huge star in Argentina. De Paul came to this team on loan with an option to purchase, which has now been reported by Tom Bogert to be around 17 million-ish dollars, I believe, or euros. I'm not sure, but that's the figure, about 17 million-ish. he came with a lot of expectations. Comes from a top 3 team in La Liga, Atletico Madrid, a team that now, if you're watching La Liga, is balling with Julian Alvarez. My goodness, the goals that he's scoring is crazy. Um, but he comes to this team to play with Messi. He's balling in Argentina with Messi, and he's the guy that is going to. And now we know for certain, and we'll talk about it later on with Busquets retiring. He's the guy that's supposed to take Busquets' spot. I kind of want to get your feel for how you feel that Paul has played for Inter Miami over this, well, since he arrived, and is he worth a purchase of $17 million and a DP spot for Inter Miami to take Busquets' spot? Like, he's going to have to do what Busquets does. Busquets is one of the few that not only does he control the midfield, not only does he do good on defense, but he puts in magisterial passes into open space into Messi. So you got, what do you think? I don't know. I'll let you know what I think, but I want to know what you think about De Paul.
Yeah. I think we're probably gonna have differing opinions, or maybe I'm gonna be a little bit kinder on him. Maybe just I'm guessing based on what I think you're gonna say. This I think there's context involved because number one, to your point, like they're playing, they're asking him to play where he normally wouldn't play. Like either in the beginning of it, they had him playing really high up and trying to create, which is not necessarily his natural place when they didn't have attacking options. And now they're actually having him play really back and almost being like a center back or being, if you saw in the Toronto game multiple times, he was the one all the way back with the center backs to get the ball and to start moving it forward. Um, so I think, you know, when Busquets retires, I know we're gonna talk about that too. It's gonna be him and Yannick Bright, I think, like, are gonna be able to form a very good partnership with either Segovia or Rodriguez or whoever Messi, whoever it is. And it's gonna work out really well. In terms of like an effort and putting a stamp on the game, I think it could be a little bit higher, but again, I think he's being asked to just play into places and roles that maybe it's not what he's normally used to and wants to make sure he's helping the team as opposed to hurting the team. So I think I don't want to judge him yet on his individual performances because I do truly believe he's being played in a different way and with different players than usual. So I think it takes a little bit of time in all honesty. And then number 2, in terms of the value, the 17 million, we're getting Messi for another minimum 2 years, and it's only because Rodrigo De Paul is coming, and we know Sergio Busquets is retiring, and so we're gonna have we're gonna have Jordi Alba, Messi, and, Rodrigo De Paul at least for the next 2 years building and working on the chemistry and figuring it out, and you already know Messi and De Paul have the chemistry, and so the answer is yes, it is worth it because and this is someone who's a very messy, positive person, I think it's worth figuring out ways to keep him. And people keep saying, "Oh, it's just Messi's friends bringing in." This isn't just like a messy friend coming in who's like a Suarez who's 39 and struggling or whatever. This is someone who's 31 in his prime, and when he has his position, and you knew Sergio Busquets was going to retire. This is thinking about the next 2 seasons of Inter Miami, and to me, that I'm excited about and I think it's gonna show itself to be more valuable than less valuable. Would I like a little bit more punch and more excitement now? Yes. Do I think maybe we will get it as we get into the playoffs because he's a World Cup winner, he's a champion winner, he knows how to win games? I think we will. If not, it's worth talking about, but that's why I think it's circumstantial, and I think this is only the beginning of it, so I just don't wanna pass judgment on such a high level yet. That's where I am at.
Wait, so are you saying that the value in bringing in the ball is more on keeping Messi than the actual skill set and performance that he's brought? Like, would
No,
you
I think it's
is that
both.
accurate or no?
No, I think it's both, and I think it's also the position he's in and the performance right now is with an asterisk next to it because you know that Busquets is retiring, and I'm sure everyone knew he was retiring. The plan was for him to retire, and so I think it's both. Like I think it's I but I do think it's part of it. Like part of him coming and the money, like that part of that was to guarantee you're keeping Messi for another 2 years, and you should because Messi right now is still playing like one of the best players in the world and attracting all the people you want at the club and all the etc. So it's important. It's not just like, you're bringing in someone just to sit on the bench and like collect money. You're bringing in someone who's going to be the MVP again for the second year in a row in the league, potentially golden boot winner, and like I said, is still the best player in the world. So it's worth things, you know what I mean? It's contextual. It's important to have all of those things in consideration. And also he's young, 31 motor that will be contributing and being the force and the base of this team. He's only been here for a little over a month.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go as far as saying that De Paul has played poorly. I don't think that I'd go as far as saying he doesn't deserve to be on this team. But what I will say is the expectations I had for his arrival have not been met. And I think he has had ample time since his arrival to acclimate to the coach, to his teammates, as well as the type of play that you get in MLS with the physicality, with the running, and with the different climates that you have to play in. Because this is not Spain, where it's small and a lot of the climate seems to be the same. You're talking about you're flying from one side of this country that it is maybe 4 or 5. I'm going to show how bad I am at geography here, but I'm going to say 5 or 6 times what the size of Spain. That's probably way off, but you get the point. So you can be playing in frigid weather at one moment, and the next you're playing like in a, in the Mojave Desert. Those are things that I think he's had enough time to figure out. And on the field, I don't see what I would have wanted to see. The defensive side and him controlling that midfield, I haven't seen it. Yannick Bright to me does a much better job at that than De Paul does. When the ball gets the ball, he's tried to make some passes that you'd expect him to make, but they don't connect many times. They're ambitious, and I like that. I like that he's trying ambitious passes that, if they were to land and connect, may result in a goal, may result in a play that then results in a goal. He's just not connecting. He's not being a protagonist. He's more like on the side. He gets the ball here, he'll get the ball there, and then he'll touch right away. He's not someone that's actively involved. And I think that if you're going to have someone as your DP, like you have Busquets right now, who's very actively involved. As soon as he gets the ball, we see the passes he's putting into Messi. Obviously, Messi involved 100% of the time. Jordi Alba, your DP, involved in almost every play up that left flank, connecting with Messi. They're both, him and Busquets are connecting with Messi. De Paul, on the other hand, sometimes I forget he's even on the field. And I'm not even trying to joke. I forget that he's on there. I don't think that you should forget that your DP is on the field. You should know at every moment of the game that this guy is impacting the game and making the passes he needs to do. And I don't see that from the ball. A lot of times I see him lose his legs, maybe 50, 60 minutes in, he's not running as much and that sort of thing. So those are the reasons why I think that so far I don't like his performance. I feel we've had a poor performance from him, and I expect more from a guy who's going to take up a DP spot. Right now, he doesn't fill in Busquets' shoes, not one bit. In my eyes, there's still time. Hopefully he makes a big run into the playoffs and becomes a huge part of this team and earns that purchase option in that DP spot. But that's how I feel. And I think that we've proven it here. You have your perspective, I have mine. And I think that there's probably a wide spectrum of perspectives from our listeners and those viewing on De Paul. So, but
Yeah. I'll just really quickly add, I totally agree. I think what you said and your points actually, I don't disagree with them either. I think I'm more so in the position where I'm not necessarily defending his play, but I guess I'm more like the jury's out. The jury's still out for me. And maybe you can say he needs to have a quicker turnaround because he's a DP and you expect that. I think that's a fair counter. I'm gonna just continue, like I said, hopefully in this next month, like with the playoffs coming up with this push, each match becoming more and more a part of it. And then like when the season's over, I'm just gonna kind of, like I said, I'm taking my time with giving my passing my judgment, but I think feeling this way in terms of being, like, unimpressed so far, I think is fair. You can have that criticism and not feel the excitement you wanna feel. I'm just gonna, like, give it a little bit of time. But I think to your point, there's a lot of different nuances and ways to view it, and time will tell.
Yeah, agreed. It's a spectrum, and we all see it differently. But I think that we all want to see a little more,
Yeah.
despite how we feel. So we can agree on that. So we move on to Messi,
Someone who we are seeing a little more from. Yeah.
someone who is living up to the expectations. I'm gonna read this out. You ready? One assist. These are the last 4 games. Ready? One assist against Toronto. 2 goals, 1 assist against New York City. 2 goals, 1 assist against DC United. 1 goal, 1assist against Seattle. The goal leader with 24 goals in MLS right now. Next up, Dennis Bonga with 23. And I believe Messi has like a few games less played than them and still leading them. He's second to Anders Dreyer in assist, 14 to Dreyer's 18. What the heck? This is like Super Saiyan mode. This is insane.
So
This is insane.
37 goal contributions in MLS only, not even including the other competitions. Yeah.
Yeah, that is Ash. Like I think that this is what the 3rd season I think that we've seen him that we're witnessing this, and that first season, like we're like, okay, this is incredible. Second season, we're like, oh my god, he got better, and then now in the third season, it's like, wow,
And
like
the
with
injuries.
every year he gets older, but he gets better. This is insane.
It is insane, and I mean, thinking back to our friends at Drive Pink Dialogue, I said in the beginning of the season, he's gonna get 100 goal contributions, and everyone was like, "That's crazy." And obviously, he's not going to reach 100, but as a reminder, he's over 50 right now in terms of all competitions, and I can name, like, 20 goals he should have scored. Because he either let someone else do it or, the goalie had a worldy save or like the other person screwed up these like the amount of assists he should have on Tadeo Allende, for example. All of these. And so my point really is like, no, he's playing at like a level where he should be getting between like 70 and 90 goal contributions in a season. And he's 38 years old. That is insane. It's insane. And like I said, for except for maybe 1 or 2 teams in the world, he's in your starting 11, and so, um, what he brings to MLS and what he brings to each match is so exciting and amazing, and, we know the contract extension is happening. I think there's still if it's is it gonna be 3 years? Is it gonna be 2? What option? We'll find out the details, but I think it's clear to him and to everyone around him, he's still playing at an extraordinarily high level, and he has plenty of time to keep playing that way and keeping himself ready, obviously, for the final World Cup next year. But in terms of for Inter Miami, he's playing like he wants to win. I think he's playing with a ton of passion. The game in New York City, I just honestly, I was like, I was so happy for all the people in New York who got to see it. And like, it sounds silly, but there's people who saved up all year for this match and, knew that Inter Miami were coming to play New York and they wanted to see Messi. And then they get an absolute masterclass from him. And you see his excitement and energy with each goal, with each moment. Um, it's pretty remarkable and I'm happy to be a part of the ride. I know, we're gonna see some changes in the cast of characters around him. The and co part of Messi and Co is gonna change a little bit after the end of the season. But what's not changing is that Messi is still just, like, the greatest, and it's just great to watch, like, it's great to watch, see him do things knowing other people can't do it, and know he's not, not bullshitting his time, not just trying to get a paycheck, not just, walking and not caring or having a sour attitude. He's playing to win, and he's playing to be the best, and how lucky are we that we still get to see it?
Yeah, and I love what you said about Tadeo Allende and the assists. He would probably have an additional 10 assists if
At
Tadeo
least.
Allende. But yeah, no, he's been on a tear, and he's the crazy thing is in 2025 compared to 2024, again a year older, he's played more games. Like he's been, and that was one of the criticisms that he had last season, and even one of the reasons why they didn't want to give him MVP and all that, because they're saying that he wasn't, despite him having the numbers, he wasn't always there for the team, whether it be for having to go play for Argentina or having to go play Copa America or having to, or injury wise. Last season he played 19 games. We still have 4 games left to play, and he's at 24 games. So not only has he increased the games, he's increased the goals. He had 20 goals. He now has 24. He had 20 goals
Probably
last
should have
season.
28 in the last 2 games, like 4 goals
Exactly.
he either was amazingly saved or that he gave someone else a penalty 2 penalties he's given to other people to take, plus, the other things that have been like Sean Johnson, who is a great goalkeeper, but having an incredible game against Messi. Those kind of things in perspective, it should be even more. That's how good he's playing.
Yeah, some of these keepers, man, like they're not, they're not shots that are easy. Like they're making some incredible saves, and not just one incredible save, multiple,
Yeah.
2, 3 saves a game against shots that typically go in for Messi. So that's incredible. Then we talk about assists. 2024, he had 16 assists. Now he's up to 14. He's going to break all the numbers across the board from the 2024 season. It seems like he's aging like fine wine, only getting better. And
Mhm.
that's exciting. Like we mentioned with everybody else's performance going into the playoffs, like he's on fire at the right time. And he's not just here for a paycheck, as you said. He is proving it all on the field. So it's just exciting to see all of these guys. Um, I think feeding also off of Messi. I think that's one of the things as
Yeah.
well. See guys that are just, he makes everybody so much better around him. That's like the secondary thing. Not only what he brings as far as his stats and his numbers, but it flows into the players that are around him. So I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. Okay, so we kind of talked about their performances as far as the players on the field, and I think this really good stretch for Inter Miami. I wanted to really briefly, before we go into our last 2 topics, I wanted to talk about the supporter shield and lay that part out. So, Miami right now, as we said, before this tie against Toronto, had in their hands the ability to achieve the supporter shield because of the amount of games they had in hand. They were able to, if they won all, be able to surpass Philadelphia, who's in first right now. That's no longer the case. Inter Miami, having dropped 2 points, now sits currently in 6th place in the supporter shield standings with 56 points. Philadelphia sits atop with 63 points with 2 games left to play right now, meaning that if they win out those 2 games, at 6 points added to their current 63, they can end up with 69 points right now at supporter shield. Right now, Inter Miami can only achieve, with their 4 games in hand, if they were to win out with 12 points, they can get up to 68 points. So that's 1 point less than the 69 that Philadelphia has a potential to make. So right now, we're dependent on Philadelphia at least dropping 2 points, at least a tie somewhere in those last 2 games. They play against New York City and against Charlotte. Those are the next 2 games. They're not easy games, which is, I think, is
I
a
was gonna
good.
say those aren't easy matches. It's very possible you could drop a point in one of those at the least.
Yeah, right now, Charlotte sits 6th, and then no, sorry, New York City, I believe, sits 6th, and Charlotte sits 8th in the supporter shield standings. They're top 5 teams in the East, so not easy to win. Philadelphia beat Charlotte the last time they played 2-1 at home, and then Philadelphia actually lost to NYC when they played away at City Field, I believe it is. So there's a chance. I think there's a chance for Inter Miami to win out and for Philadelphia to lose or tie at least one of their last 2 games. How are you feeling about all of that?
I think so too. I mean, look, I think number 1 is that Inter Miami just needs to plan to win the next 4 matches. Because regardless of that, just keep playing in good form. and keep preparing yourself for the postseason. I think what we had last year was that we were only just trying to break the record, and because of that, like, the team was disjointed. You didn't feel necessarily confident, and Messi was available and then unavailable, and then this, that, and the other, and in the end, it bit us in the butt when we got to that Atlanta series. Right now, my focus is just keep playing at the high level and keep playing to win and let everything else happen. I think with Philadelphia, New York City obviously got embarrassed last week versus Inter Miami, so they're trying to get themselves as good seating as possible and play as well as they can. Going to Charlotte, where it's an incredibly difficult place to play, and knowing they're also trying to keep up their winning season and go into the playoffs with the good momentum. Really 2 difficult games, not easy or guaranteed wins. So, I think, it's possible and it's great if it does, but what I just care about is Inter Miami continuing to be consistent. Obviously, knock on wood, no injuries, and just keep playing in good form, trying to win games, figuring out who can play at their best level, maximize it, and get that momentum into the postseason because what I wanna do is I wanna win a trophy. I wanna win the MLS Cup. I want this team to make it far and deep into the playoffs and show, get to the point where every game matters. And that's my focus. So I do think there's possibilities, but just just keep worrying about winning.
Yeah, and that makes sense what you said about the health of this team. And I think that, obviously we have some health injuries, some health concerns here and there, but I think ultimately, like the top players, the players that you're going to want to go into the playoffs healthy, it looks good, I think, from that perspective. And that's good. Miami right now, as we said, has 4 games left. They play against Chicago, who currently sits ninth, then Atlanta, who is 14th, Nashville, who is sixth, and then lastly, I skipped one. Sorry. The next one after Chicago is going to be New England, which we'll get to see our loved Campana, and they sit 11th. So at the end of the day, you have 3 games that are against, I think, lower teams, lower seeded teams, and then you have one that's a little, higher up there. So very much winnable games. But before we end and talk about that Chicago game, wanted to talk about some big news that we kind of already heard rumblings about. Busquets was asked about it recently in the last few weeks. He was asked, "Are you going to play next season? You haven't renewed your contract. Are you thinking about hanging it up?" He said he was still mulling over his options, still thinking about it. He hadn't made any decisions. Um, But then we just got the report. Not only did we get the report, we had it confirmed by Busquets with a post on social media, a very emotional post. If you're somebody that's followed his career, and even if you haven't, if you're just somebody that loves the game of football, it probably touched you a little bit to see the decorated career that Busquets has had with Barcelona, with the Spain national team, now with everything that he's done for Inter Miami. To see the images, the video, it probably touched you. And he's saying bye to the game of soccer, football. He's hanging up the cleats, and he's had an amazing career. So our number 5, I guess you'd say, are the best defensive midfield that Inter Miami has ever had. I think is hanging it up. And how do you feel about that, Ash? I'm obviously sad, um, but it's not unexpected. He's up there in age, and so how do
Yeah.
you feel about that?
Well, I'll be brief about this because I mean, you've been watching Busquets far longer than I have, and as a Barcelona fan, I think you've seen a lot of Busquets. Obviously, it's going to go down. I'd say not just as an Inter Miami best defensive midfielder, one of the best to ever play that position. Honestly, absolute, maestro, uh, coordinator. Can get a pass anywhere on the field, can know where the ball is going or coming anywhere on the field. Um, Obviously, this has a lot of miles on him, and I think this year maybe you're starting to see it a little more than we had in ever before, but, uh, I'm happy for him to be able to end on his own terms in his own time, and getting the send off and the finishing of career that is so absolutely deserved. World Cup winner, uh, uh, Euro winner, has achieved Champions League, La Liga, all the things he's achieved with Barcelona, what he's achieved with Inter Miami. And again, like I said, it's one thing to win trophies and be a part of good teams. It's another thing to be known as one of the best to ever play your positions. And so, completely deserved. He will be missed, but I'm very happy I got to experience having him on my team. So, we wish him nothing but the best, and we hope that he gets to enjoy the end of this season, finishing on a high.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Um, he means a lot to this team. He means a lot to Spain. He means a lot to the fans that have watched him for so many years, watched him grow up at Barcelona. Uh, through some of the coverage that he's gotten for because of his retirement, we've seen even in his video images of him as a kid, basically a kid playing for Barca. It's just incredible everything that he's gone from winning Champions League games to being at the top of the world, just winning so much. Yeah, he's definitely going to be missed, and I think he'll be missed not only because of what he represents, what he's accomplished, but how involved he is in this team, and the passes that he makes is incredible. That connection with Messi, those are just some big shoes to fill. So obviously we wish him the best, but hey, he's still on our team. He's got 4 games left that we get to enjoy with him in the regular
Still
season, and
making
whatever's
insane
left.
passes in the last few games, so
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So there's still time to enjoy it, but now that this is the end. So enjoy it as best you can, and yeah, we'll enjoy the last moments of Busi on this team. So up next we have Chicago tomorrow. Uh, what time is that game, Ash? Let me just double check here.
7:30, I think.
7:30.
I believe
Okay.
so, yeah.
So we've got that game against Chicago. This is the last stretch. 4 games left. Every game right now, if you are in if you're excited and intend and really want to win that supporter shield accomplishment, every game is a final right now in regards to that. You have to win every single one. You have to hope again that Philadelphia drops points, and I don't know if it's going to be an easy game. We just saw against Toronto. Now Toronto, a team that sits 12th in the East, was not easy for Inter Miami. Now we can also take into consideration that they've played a lot of games, right? And they've played well, and then they drop a game against a team having to travel. It's not, I mean, you traveling from Miami to Toronto is not an hour away. You're talking about a long flight, a lot of games that they've played recently. That may be a reason, I don't know. But now they're playing against Chicago. Chicago sits 9th. Chicago is a team that has scored more goals away than they have at home, which is interesting. So that's something to keep in mind. 36 goals away to their 23 at home. So that'll be interesting to see. I think also they've actually played better than Inter Miami, which is surprising over their last stretch. They've had 16 points to Miami's 14 points. So I don't know. Chicago is not going to be the easiest of teams, I think. Berhalter, I think, is still eyeing. They're 9th. They're like in that last spot to try to make it into the MLS playoffs. So they're going to be trying hard. They've got more on the line than Inter Miami does, if you really think about it. Inter Miami is already getting into the playoffs. So is this going to be an easy game for us?
Not an easy game, not an easy game. But I think that, being back home and like I said, the form they've been in and wanting to continue playing at the high level, uh, I think it will be a difficult game, but I still think Inter Miami will win. Um, and so I'm excited for it because I think it's going to be a really high intensity match. I think both teams are trying to keep their form, right? They're trying to keep playing positive. They don't want things to bring them down. Keep executing at a high level. And I don't think tomorrow will be any different. So I'm saying it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a difficult game, but I think Inter Miami are going to make it out and win. And so I'm going to say we win 2-1.
I like that 2-1. It keeps it close, and I think that's what it will be. It'll be close. And I had written that stat down, and I missed it. That stat that I gave was in the last 8 games. So in the last 8 games, Chicago has 16 points compared to Inter's 14. So in their last 8 fixtures, but we know again Inter Miami is on a really good stretch in their last 4. Greg Berhalter has done well with his team away. They're besides Philadelphia and Cincinnati as well as Inter Miami, they've earned the most points on the road this season. So they're a good road team, which is good to consider. And as we know, any team that faces Inter Miami always wants to prove something. And this team is no different. They're going to want to prove that just because you have Messi on your team doesn't mean that you're going to trample over us. They play hard. They play physical against us. They try to get in our heads. So I think that this will be a really even game. To what you said, Ash, 2-1, I think is a good scoreline. I'm going to go. I think just because this is going to be a bounce back game for us after tying 1-1, and because this team wants to get supporter shield. We know players always want to accomplish anything that they have an opportunity to get. I think they're going to win this one and win it convincingly. I think it's going to be 3-1 facing for tomorrow's game. So,
Love it.
yeah, I think everything is the supporter shield is very much alive. We are in the playoffs, and this Inter Miami team is rolling at the right time. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow, Ash.
Me too. I'm excited and I'm happy we're back. And I hope let us know in the comments your thoughts on everything we talked about. You know, your scoreline predictions, how you feel about DePaul, how you feel about Messi's form, Busquets retiring, all that good stuff. We are back though, so we will be back with more of our consistent episodes, and we will be covering the game tomorrow on Twitter. So /X. Make sure you're following us at Messi and Co. Um, but yeah, I think it's been a great show. I'm glad we're back, and I'm really excited to watch this end of the season. Gian, if you wanna close us out and get ready for the next one.
Yes, it was awesome to be back. It was awesome to talk Inter Miami, to have you here, Ash, to have the crew here, and we're excited. It's going to be a great game tomorrow. We'll be covering it as always, so make sure you follow us at Messi and Co. On X. That's where we're going to be doing all the play-by-play. That's where we give our opinions on the game. So if you're not watching, or if you are watching, you get to get our insights. And then I said it at the beginning, and I'll say it again, just in case you missed it. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Put on the alerts. That way you guys never miss when we're on. This is a recorded episode, but we do lives as well. Those are always fun because we get to read your comments. So we'll try to do one of those this week as well. So make sure you have the alert on for that. So make sure you follow us. 5 Reasons Football, 5 Reasons Sports. That's our home network. You can catch us there as well. And we hope you guys have an awesome rest of your week. It's an early week. You got the game coming up. Make sure you enjoy it. And as always, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you.